Last video, we talked about adapting Destroyer into the Monsterverse, but which other monsters from old Godzilla movies could also be introduced. Hello there, my name is Triple S, and welcome to the 6th in a series of videos on the topic of how old Godzilla monsters could be brought into the Monsterverse. Let's continue with Hedorah. Hedorah, or is it Hedorah? Hedorah? I'm just going to stick with Hedorah. First appeared in the 1971 movie Godzilla vs. Hedorah, and in its initial stage it was a big black tadpole that came to Earth in a comet from dark gaseous nebula of the Orion. It then began to feed on humanity's pollution, growing in size and going through multiple forms before reaching its perfect stage. Godzilla and Hedorah then faced each other for their final battle at the summit of Mount Fuji, with humanity attempting to aid Godzilla by using a pair of giant electrodes, intending to use them to dry out Hedorah, whose body was a disgusting mass of fluid. Godzilla, struggling against the poisonously powerful Hedorah, uses his atomic breath to power the electrodes. Hedorah is seemingly dried out and defeated, but from within the dried out layer emerges another Hedorah who tries to fly away. Godzilla gives chase, giving us the iconic scene of him propelling himself backwards through the air using his atomic breath. He catches Hedorah and drags the sludge monster back to the electrodes to be dehydrated again. Realizing that only the outer layer of Hedorah has been dried out and their insides are still liquid, Godzilla rips apart Hedorah, allowing the electrodes to dehydrate every last bit of the monster until only dust remains. Now, how can Hedorah be adapted for the Monsterverse? Throughout this series, when I adapt a character that has a spacefaring origin, I change it to make its origins instead the Hollow Earth. And while you certainly could do this for Hedorah as well, make it a giant Hollow Earth tadpole, either brought to the surface and exposed to pollution, or exposed to pollution in the Hollow Earth from some evil corporation dumping its waste there, I think this is a rare exception where I wouldn't mind a character maintaining their spacefaring origin. So just have Hedorah arrive on Earth in a comet, start chowing down on pollution, grow big and get into a fight with Godzilla. You could even still include humanity building a weapon to help Godzilla defeat Hedorah. So those are two ways Hedorah could be introduced into the Monsterverse, still originating from space or from the Hollow Earth. However, I have a third idea. In the late 1990s, in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, fungi were discovered to be thriving amongst the high radiation, and an experiment was performed on one of the types of fungi, Cladosporium sphaerospermum, where it was taken to the International Space Station to see how effective it would be at shielding against radiation whilst in space. What if, in the Monsterverse, this experiment caused the fungus to mutate, and rather than arrive on Earth via a comet, it crash lands amidst space station debris after causing significant damage. From there, rather than seeking out pollution to feed on, it would instead bleed dry any and all sources of radiation, eventually becoming Hedorah. As you can imagine, Godzilla, who needs radiation, wouldn't be too happy about this and would confront Hedorah, but he'd face a big problem. His atomic breath would actually give Hedorah more power, so he'd have to rely more on physical attacks, which actually wouldn't be too bad since this version of Hedorah is just a big pile of fungus rather than deadly to touch pollution, though probably wouldn't be too great for Godzilla to breathe in any spores that might come off of Hedorah during their brawls. This could be how Hedorah gains the upper hand over Godzilla, bringing him to the point of defeat, and necessitating the need for humanity to aid Godzilla. Though in this case, dousing Hedorah in some kind of antifungal chemical rather than using dehydrating electrodes. I don't know how you could adapt Hedorah surviving and trying to escape with Godzilla chasing them down, but there has to be a nod to the iconic Godzilla flying through the air scene. Maybe Hedorah has Godzilla pinned down, so he uses his atomic breath to blast himself and Hedorah up and backwards? I don't know, but there just has to be some reference. There has to be. Thank you all everyone for watching. If you've got your own ideas on how Hedorah could be introduced into the Monsterverse, please share them in the comments below, along with your predictions on which monster we'll be talking about next. Thank you all so much again for watching. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.